Well, good morning, YouTube. This is Chuck, and it's Wednesday, September 10th, 2025, about 11 o'clock in the morning. And I'm back out here working on the trailer again. I got to replace that spring. So let me show you what I got to do. I got to take that tire off, and that spring behind there is the spring I have to change. Now I've got my stuff here. I got my cardboard, and you can see it's a dirty job. You can see how dirty my gloves are from the other day. But I got the jack, I got my tools, I got the new spring. And for those of you that are concerned about my safety, and especially understanding what happened the other day, this trailer right now is supported in 5 different locations. All 4 tires are on the ground, plus up here. It's supported by the tongue jack, and it's hooked to my old truck, so it can't go forward and back. So it's about as safe as you can make it. I'm only going to take 1 wheel off, so it's still going to be supported by 3 wheels, the tongue jack, and still hooked to the truck. And that should eliminate the possibility of what happened the other day when it fell off the jacks. That was as big a surprise to me as I'm sure it was to you. So let me start getting it apart here, and when I get it apart, I'll bring you back and I'll show you why that spring needs to be changed, and I'll show you the progress. Okay, as you can see, I got it jacked up and got the tire off of it, and I also took the nut off of that bolt and that bolt on both ends of the spring, and I went ahead and sprayed those U-bolts up there with penetrating oil so that they'll loosen up. A little bit of PB Blaster so they'll loosen up, I can get them off easier. But let me show you why this spring needs to be changed. Well, if you notice on this side, see there's 3 leaves there? On this side there's 2. Well, that's because that leaf broke off right up in there. Right there it broke off. And it came out to about here. So if you look real carefully at that spring, it's got kind of an S shape. It's bending right there. Right where that leaf broke off at. So that spring's not real long for this world. I don't know, with the light on the other side, I'm not sure how well you can see that, but I hope you can see it well enough. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to pull those U-bolts off, and then I'll drop that axle down a little bit, and I'll see if I can get that spring off. And we'll be back again and show you when we get that part off, because it's as you can see, you can see that spring got a definite S shape to it, and it's not supposed to do that. So, be back when I got something more to show you. Okay, I got the U-bolts off, and that's a hand tool job because you can see the frame is right there, and there's not a lot of room in there to get power tools in there anyway. But since I got that off, let me show you. See, right there, you can see where that flex is? And right there's a stress point. You can actually see it on the metal. That spring was not long for this world. That was going to break right there before too long. So that just tells me that I'm doing the right thing by swapping it out. Now, some of you probably call me on it, but normally when you replace the spring, you replace the U-bolts as well. And I thought about that, but these U-bolts are really, really good shape. And so for swapping it out this time, I think I'm just going to reuse the existing U-bolts. So that for the expediency of getting this done. So now you can get a real good look at that spring and how it's bent, and you can see where it's starting to fail up there. That little discoloration right across there is a stress point. And so, like I say, this spring would have broken before too long, and we're thinking on going on a trip here in about a week, and I'd hate to be out in the middle of nowhere and have the darn spring break. So I think I'm doing the right thing. So once again, I'll be back when I got something more to show you. Well, this is actually the next day, and as you can imagine, if you follow my channel for very long, nothing ever seems to go smoothly with me. And let me show you where I'm at now. I'm in a place called Spec Track in Mesa, Arizona. It's about it was about a 75-mile drive for me. And what happened was that new spring that I was going to put in there ended up being the wrong one. It was about 1.5 inches too short. Well, in doing my research on there to figure out what the deal was, I took it back and got my money back. And the shop over there did not have the spring that I needed. And nobody else in town did either. So I spent most of the afternoon yesterday doing research and trying to figure out where I could get those, if there was a place to get them in an expedient manner. And finally got pointed to this outfit. And so I called them yesterday afternoon, and they close at 4, and so I didn't have time to come down here yesterday to get them. And so I came down first thing this morning. And they have about they're a pretty big outfit here, and they do service work and stuff, and they have about every spring you could possibly imagine. And even the RV places said this was the place to come. So here I am. And I went in there to get them, and yesterday when I called, they said they had 8 of them in stock. And this morning when I came in, they were all gone. So somebody came in with a big load late or something. And so what ended up happening is they told me, well, we can make them up. They can actually assemble them. And it would only take them about an hour. So I took off and went and had some breakfast. And now I'm back here at the shop. I'm getting ready to pick up the springs and head back up the hill. And I decided, given the circumstances, I decided to replace all 4 of them. I decided that was really the smart thing to do. So I'm here. That hour's about up now. I should be able to go in there and get my stuff. And as soon as I do, I'm going to hit the road back up the hill and see if I can at least get part of them put in today. So that's the next, like I say, nothing ever seems to go smooth in Chuck World. And it's just another example. I'll be back again with you in a little bit. Well, I'm back home again, and there's my new springs and the old one. And that guy at the spring shop, he was actually able to get this old number off of this spring. And it's a UNA 051. And these were 052s, but they made them into 051s by removing one of the leaves. And so that's how they were able to get them for me within about an hour. And before I start installing them, though, I need to pull out these plastic bushings here and put in these bronze ones. And I picked up some of those down there too. So I'll do that here in the garage. But the other thing I got to do is because they went ahead and pulled the leaf off of them, and they're going to have to repaint that little section right there. But I'll do that too. And that's not a big deal. I have some black paint, but I want to do that before I put them on. So I'll be back to show you the progress here in a little bit. Well, I got them inside the garage here, and changing out those nylon bushings to put the bronze ones in is pretty much simplicity itself. You just clamp it there in the bench vise, and then you use something to knock that out of there. And I found out that a 3/8 drive extension is exactly the right size to do that. So let's just pop that one out of there while you're... And just like that, comes right out. Then you got to tap the bronze ones back in, and this one actually pushed in by hand. So they'll conform once they get trapped in there and get grease on them. They'll stay where they're at. But simplicity itself. And so let me get that done, and then I can go start putting them back on the trailer. All right, there's all 4 springs. The nylon bushings have been removed. The rest of them, the bushings pushed in there so easy that I think I'm going to put them in as I install them. But went ahead and touched them up with a little bit of Rust-Oleum paint, and I'm going to let them sit there for a few minutes, and then I'll go ahead and start installing and see if we can get these on the trailer. Back soon. Well, this grease is sometimes referred to as red and tacky, and it is both. And so what we do is we take one of these little throwaway brushes and we'll put some on there, and then we'll make sure that the inside of that gets doctored up thoroughly with that. And we'll put some on the bolt that goes through it too as we assemble this. So this is the first spring to go on. I'm getting ready to put it in place, and of course it takes 2 hands, so I'll be back with you again here in a little bit. Well, I went to install that first spring on the trailer and immediately ran into another issue. You see that center bolt right there? And if you want to see how, well, you can see it there. Well, when they took that apart and removed one of the leaves off of that, they didn't trim that back down. And so as a result, the hole in the top of the axle is not deep enough for that. This is going to have to be trimmed off. So I'm going to use my angle grinder for that. And it's gonna take two hands, so I'm not gonna be able to show you. And yes, I am wearing eye protection. I got my, and I'll put gloves on before I do it. So let me shut you down while I do that, and then we'll see if we can get this darn spring installed. I noticed like the other three springs, and they're all the same way. So I'll fix them before I take them up the driveway. It actually went in there pretty easy once I finally got everything ready for it. And I used some of the red and tacky on the bolts, and then I'll grease them with the grease gun when I get all done. But everything's hand tight right now. I do think I'll probably go ahead and pull these back off one at a time and put some thread locker on them before I put them back on. But all it takes now is to tighten everything up on this one and jack it up, get the wheel back on it, and then I've only got 3 more to do. So we'll bring you back again. Well, it's a little after 4 and that one's done. So I was going to start another one, but I'd rather not let it sit on jacks overnight if I can help it. So I picked up all my tools. I got put all my tools right there in the box and sitting inside the trailer, and I'll come out in the morning and tackle that one. Then we'll, yeah, school's letting out. There's a loud motorcycle in the background. But anyway, we'll jump on that one in the morning. I'm kind of tired after I left early and drove down the big city and back and did all this kind of stuff. And I'll go in the garage and grind the rest of those center bolts off, and then probably call it a night. So there we're at. That's where we're at. Let me go ahead and close this up and lock it up and lock everything else up. And there's the second half right there to be done. So I'll be back when I got something more to tell you about. Probably be tomorrow. Well, it's the next morning, Friday, and I'm back out here to work on the trailer again. And we had a little bit of rain over the night, and my cardboard got ruined. So fortunately, I've got some more cardboard in my cardboard collection here. So I got my tools all out and ready to go. And first thing I got to do is jack that axle up and get that tire off. So I'll be back when I show you my little bit of progress. First thing we got to do, of course, is get that wheel off the ground. And so I'm doing that with this jack under the axle. And for those of you that aren't real familiar with trailers, these type of brakes, these disc brakes are not standard. That's actually an aftermarket braking system I put in there. So if it looks different than your trailer, that's why. They originally come with an electric brake, and I upgraded mine to the disc brakes because I tow in the mountains quite a bit. So we'll get that jacked up, and in fact I can do that. I can actually do that on camera. And you guys don't need to sit around and watch that. So I'll be back and show you the next step. There, I got the old spring out of there and got the new spring right there ready to go back in. So once you get the system figured out, it doesn't even really take that long. So I'll be back here again in a few minutes. Well, spring number 2 is finished. All I got to do is put the tire back on and move everything over here to the other side and start on number 3. Back with you in a little bit. Well, it's Friday about 2:30 in the afternoon, and that's number 4. So that's the last one. It's all in there. It's all tightened up. The only thing I got left to do yet is put the tire on it. And I'll be all done. Finished picking up all my stuff. I already picked up part of it. So, let me tell you, this was a booger of a job. It lasted on and off all week. And the only day I didn't work on it was Tuesday because I had to take the spousal unit to the doctor. But 150 miles to down and back to get the springs, but everything's hooked up now. Like I say, all I got to do is put that one tire back on it and then torque all the lug nuts and finish picking up all my stuff, and I'll be done. So I'm going to end this one right here. And I'm going to tell you, as always do, take care of each other and love each other and take care of yourself, and don't beat yourself up like I do. I got my arm was all tore up. And show gratitude for what you got. You know, I'm grateful I can still get out and do this kind of stuff, even though it irritates me once in a while. I don't have the patience I used to have, and I certainly don't have the strength and stamina I used to have. But I'm still out here trying. So I'll be back again with another one here pretty quick, and it might take me a little bit to stitch this one all together with all the little segments. But I got all 4 springs put on here, and we should be pretty much ready to go on our trip next week. And I'm glad for that. So let me give you one more look at little hook up there. I'm gonna unhook my old truck too. I'm gonna be able to drive that again. So until I talk to you again, let me just tell you, peace out.